this review put me through some changes. It is the Focal Chora 806 bookshelf speaker. It's the smallest speaker in this new line. There's 2 towers as well. It is made in France. That's, well, I think now all Focal speakers are made in France, which is really good. But there were a couple of things right off the bat that bugged me. The first thing, very first thing, is the binding posts. Binding posts are nicely made, but the problem is the plug that they use, that they have to insert there for Europe safety laws or whatever. Usually I just pry them out with a knife or something, no biggie. But the plugs that are on the speaker were not removable by me. And believe me, I put in a lot of time because I was just like, I gotta get those things out, I gotta get them out. Because I tend to use banana plugs in reviews, because cables with banana plugs, because it's easy to switch between speakers and stuff. So I prefer to use bananas. And in this case, I was stymied in my attempts. I had to use cables with spades. But if you use cables with banana jacks, you're going to have to struggle to get those plugs out. I'm sure you eventually could. I ran out of patience and time. Let's see. The other thing that kind of was weird is the finish. The finish I have here is I think the light wood with a gray slate front. And the wood is clearly vinyl. And for the price, $899 a pair, it was kind of a turn-off. I think it could have looked nicer for that kind of money. The price is $899 a pair, but if you buy them in singles, the 806 one at a time, they are $499. Why people would buy onesies, I don't know, but just passing that along. The tweeter is an inverted dome, meaning it goes in, not out. It's an aluminum magnesium alloy. And the woofer is what they call slate fiber. It's a 6-inch woofer, and there's a port there on the front panel. So if you're one of those people that gets weird about having ports in the rear, you won't have any problem with this one. And by the way, even when I played music with lots of bass, I didn't hear anything or even feel much air moving through that port. So that's a good sign. Impedance is rated at 8 ohms with a minimum of 4.6 ohms, so it's fairly easy to drive. But pretty much everything I used with it worked well. I used the Schiit Agir, I used a Denon PMA 600NE integrated amp, a few different things. It doesn't seem particularly sensitive to different amplifiers. I will give it that. But when I started listening to it, it did put me through changes because the sound was not together. It was very forward, mid-range. The treble was kind of a little grainy sounding. There was lots of bass, I'll give it that, lots of bass, but the quality of the bass wasn't doing a lot for me. So I listened for an hour or two and said, I got to give these speakers some time. So basically, I turned them up medium loud, left my apartment, and I came back a few hours later. I really couldn't tell any difference. But over the next few days, whenever I was out, I just left them playing. And at that point, they definitely settled down. The mids were less forward. The treble was smoothed out a lot. So I felt, confident that this was worth continuing. But it is still a forward-sounding speaker. The soundstage is relatively flat. It is an open-sounding speaker, meaning it images fairly wide, but the soundstage depth is pretty thin. One of the pieces of music I'd like to use in speaker reviews is the National's new record, I Am Easy to Find, because it's a pretty compressed, not the best-sounding record, and I feel like sometimes it just crosses the line and I just can't listen to it because it's too annoying. But I played it on the 806s, and yeah, I could hear the problems in the recording in terms of compression and a weird tonal balance from track to track, but it was definitely listenable. So I was happy that the 806 made a record that sometimes is unbearable, bearable. So that was a good sign, so I soldiered on. And I also listened to the new Leonard Cohen record, his posthumous record. He's passed away, and his voice is so deep and big. And yeah, the 806 was giving me that big, big, big vocal coming out of Leonard's pipes there. It was pretty exciting. And the That's the thing about this speaker, is that it is a very warm sounding speaker, a full sounding speaker. I had the speakers 5 feet away from the, well, 4 or 5 feet away from the wall behind them, and about 6.5 feet apart from each other. And yeah, it's a full, very rich sounding speaker. So every now and then I get into this mood for Jesus and Mary Chain, and I popped on their Come On. Well, it was like a compilation album, but it had a lot of different things. But the track I was listening to was Come On. And wow, what a great sound they had. Big, big, big reverb, big space, great, exciting vocals, nice distortion, the good kind. The whole album of this compilation, I'll give you a picture of it right now. There's something about their sound. There's something about Jesus and Mary Chain. It's kind of like if you mixed, I don't know, the Ramones with the Beach Boys or something. It's melodic, but it's noisy, it's aggressive, but it's so beautiful. The sound is really stunning. I gotta think, this review follows the Dine Audio Evoke 10 review, and the Evoke 10, which is more money, it's $1,500 a pair. It's also a small bookshelf speaker, though much smaller than this one, is a far more transparent, lively sounding speaker. More, let's say, in the audiophile direction, and the 806 is a brawnier, bigger, fuller sounding speaker. And if you want to party and crank it, I would say the 806 would be the way to go. I like the 806, but the binding posts' inability to accept banana plugs, at least easily, I'm sure if you work hard enough, you can jam them in there. The vinyl finish leaves something to be desired. I don't know, but different strokes for different folks. This is a tough review for me. So I like it. I don't love it. I don't have anything directly to compare against it in that price range. The 806 is, as I said, this review took some work on my part to sort of figure out how I was going to lay this thing out for you, and I hope all of that helped. So there you have it. My name's Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, coming to you 5 or 6 days a week right now. If you dig it, please subscribe. Hit that little button right down there, and when you do, hit it twice so you get notified every time there's a new episode coming up. You can follow me on Twitter at Audiophiliac Man. You can follow me on Instagram at steve.guttenberg. And if you got this far into the video, please, by all means, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.